Good day, good people, good day. And welcome to Wow Wish Only Well live television broadcast. I am your host, Siobhan Gross, marriage and family therapist, inspirational coach, and motivational speaker. I am so excited to be with you today, guys. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday indeed. It is a great day to wow somebody. And by wow, I mean to wish only well. I'm so excited about my guest that I know that you guys can already see. So excited to have her. She and I have come together today to wow all across the world. And by wow again, I mean to wish only well. My guest is none other than the phenomenal, the great, my colleague, Tavara Franklin. Tavara is a licensed professional counselor. Welcome, Tavara. Welcome, welcome, welcome
Thank
to
you.
the show today.
Thank you. Thank you, Siobhan.
Yes, you're so welcome. So, listen, guys, before we allow Tavara to just come in and just say who she is and what words she has for us today, I want to read you a little bit about who Tavara is. She is indeed a boss lady, okay? Like I said already, she and I are colleagues, right? We are mom entrepreneurs, right? Because the reason why I say boss lady, Tavara, is because we run our own business. We are entrepreneurs and we have a family. You are a wife and a
Mhm.
mother to two beautiful children. So not only do you run your business, but you also handle your business at home. So
Yes.
let me tell the guests a little bit about who you are. Savara specializes in cognitive behavioral therapy and reality therapy. She provides a therapeutic journey for individuals, families, and couples to discover their truth and live a transparent, unapologetic life as their authentic selves. Tavara's expertise is in assisting mothers and adolescent female who are experiencing anxiety or depression as they navigate through their daily lives. She provides a non judgmental safe space with every turn down that road of healing while remaining hot. HOT. I just love it, Sabara. Every time I read that, your word about hot. So let's start by first of all, let's tell the viewers about what you mean when you indicate HOT hot.
Yes. So HOT means it's an acronym I use, meaning to be honest, open, and transparent. It's honestly a therapeutic and lifestyle stance for me because growing up I have struggled with authenticity, and I truly believe in order for you in any journey that you're on, especially a therapeutic one, it is super important that you're being honest, open, and transparent. And I'm a firm believer that a couple of things will happen when you are being hot or being comfortable in your own hotness. And the first thing would be you find yourself being a lot more bolder. You're taking on a lot more positive emotional risks, doing things and saying things that you never thought you'd be doing and saying before, right?
Mhm.
So, two, you find yourself being a lot more authentic. And that's that word I'm saying at the beginning because I did struggle with authenticity. I'm sitting here thinking, I need to be this person or be this way because I see this and that. But when you are truly honing in on your own authenticity, then you're able to explode in that therapeutic journey like no other. Oftentimes we show up with these big representatives, and these representatives don't do anything for us in our therapeutic journey. Okay. And
Mhm.
so that is why it is so important that you are finding your authentic voice. And third, which is honestly is my personal favorite, what I find is that you find yourself being unapologetic for who you are in your own truth, because we oftentimes apologize a lot. And really, the only reason why we're apologizing is to please something or someone. But
Mhm.
honestly, what that says when you're constantly on that rabbit trail, you're developing a voice that says, I don't matter and my truth doesn't matter. So I'm just
Mhm.
not going to say anything. I'm just go with what you wherever you go with, and then we're just going to keep it at that. But what happens is you find yourself building up a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a whole host of other unwarranted emotions. And so, my ultimate goal for anybody that comes in my office is to get them to a space where they're completely unapologetically open and honestly comfortable in their own hotness.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much, so much. Listen, I know that I was able to experience or actually witness something that happened that was just so phenomenal. It was awesome to be invited to see you have baptism. So do you mind talking a little bit about that and that experience and how you actually decided that you were going to, because it's a beautiful story of how you shared that with the colleagues, us, the partners, right? And so I was just so interested in it. Was so interesting. So I would like for you to share that with the viewers, if you would.
Absolutely. So, just a little background on that. Honestly, growing up, I grew up in a Christian family household. I mean, we went to church every Sunday, but even before the church, we had Bible study. At 6 o'clock in the morning, getting ready. My granddad, bless his heart, he's no longer with us, but he was lead over our Sunday school before actual church.
Right.
And so we would have our sessions, and then he will often tell us that that we need to get baptized before we were too big to get into the baptism pool, which at that time I was like, now that daddy, that don't make any sense now. Okay, but so my mom, on the flip side, she didn't want us to experience what she experienced, because growing up, because they were so heavily in church and Bible driven, and honestly fear driven by some of the scriptures and things that they would use back then. My mom's like, she didn't want us to experience what she had experienced, which was go and get up there and get baptized before you go to hell,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And so she was like, I want you to be able to get to know God and Christ in your own walk. And so I want you to understand the true meaning of what baptism means, because it's a virtue. It's a rite of passage, honestly, and it's a very sacred but serious walk. And
Right.
so it took up all of these years for me to be able to say, I really do understand this walk, and I want to be able to take this leap. One, mainly because I've been a person that has struggled with anxiety all my life,
Mhm.
and because of that, it damaged my walk in faith and my walk with God. And so I knew that it was important that last year, when I became baptized, I needed to make sure I did something that really stated, okay, you're going to go on this walk of journey with God, and you are going to ensure that anxiety is not leading you, but you're being led by faith. And I
Mhm.
knew that baptism was going to be my first step in that. Um, After that, that is when I found myself being a lot less anxious about going in full-time private practice with myself,
Mhm.
because again, this was a moment where I was just like, okay, I cannot allow myself to be led by anxiety. I've been doing this for this whole entire time, and God told me to trust him. And so when I got baptized, I needed to make sure that I really held true to some of the things that were told to me during that time. And so I got baptized, and it was such an emotional experience, because it was just like, wow, I really am um making a commitment to God and to myself that I need to be leading in faith and not by sight. And so when it was time for me to leave my old job, full-time job, I had no anxiety. It was just like it was just like God's cloak just washing over me, or just covering me at that time, because it's just like I know that he has me. And even in moments of being in private practice now, where my anxiety, which I call her Annie, you know for me or whatever, but I remember that day, and I remember God's promises and what he told me to do and why I had to do it that way. So that's my story on that.
Oh my goodness, that is just awesome to hear you say and just to talk about that and to realize. I like the fact that you were never, told, right, or just forced basically to, go before, the altar and get baptized because it's the right thing to do because we're Christian and that's what we do. Your mom taught you that it was a sacred process and that there's a lot of value in being able to do that. And you have to understand that connection. First of all, be connected to Christ before you even make that step. And so that's awesome. So I hear you say, I talked about, our introduction, leading up to this, we're introducing ourselves as boss ladies because that's truly what we are. But I know prior to you actually going in and becoming full-time with private practice, that that you work full-time, and you just referenced that, as you were talking to us. So tell us, in terms of, that leap of faith, tell us, did faith play a part in you making that decision to go from being a full-time worker, employee? Although I know that you were already in private practice, you were working a full-time job, working your private practice part-time, also being a mother to two beautiful young children and a wife to your husband's parents. So I know that there's a lot that entail that, but sometimes we put way more on our plate than we have to, because as I've talked about, God giving us those seeds of greatness and us being able to do whatever we desire to do because he's already equipped us for the journey. So talk to us about your journey, how you went from making that decision that I'm not gonna be working as a full-time employee anymore, but I'm just gonna, go on over, take this road to greater and invest in myself, invest in my belief, invest in my company. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I have to start by, giving my roses to Stephanie Hughes. And she hates it when well, I ain't gonna say hate because that's a strong word, but she blushes when I tell this story because Stephanie Hughes was she was my therapist, at one point, long time ago.
Yeah.
And so she was the one that expressed to me that at the end of our journey, I want you to go into full-time private practice for yourself. And at that time, I was like, oh no, that's when Annie was like, she said, we're not doing that. You got a good job. You're making some good money. You got these two little babies. You need to stay put. And so I told myself that if I'm presented, the next time I presented this opportunity, I need to be able to take it. Well, the second time it was presented to me, when my son Levi was born in 2017, and Annie was still, doing her thing, and I said, But the third time, I said, okay, for real now. All right, you're getting older. You want to be able to ensure you leave legacy with your children and whomever else that comes after that. You want to make sure that you create moves for yourself that is, and you want to be able to move the way you want to be able to move.
Right.
And so I told myself that, okay, if you're presented this opportunity for the third time, this is it. You cannot refuse it. You have to take it. All right. This is going to be you walking by faith. Seriously. And so it was presented to me for the third time in 2019, because that's when my daughter was born. And at that time, that's when I felt a tug and said, you got to take it. And I took it. And so when, again, during that time, I still had my job. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm working. So I'm grateful
for the part. Yeah, I know.
I'm doing the part, right? And so it's crazy how God just brings in people to just kind of remind you, hey, I remember when you said this, and but yeah, I need you to do this other step, right? So it's just crazy how you get pulled to go greater and greater and greater, and the anxiety that comes with that.
Yeah.
And so my mom told me one thing. She said that when your passion is starting to really dominate what you're doing, your full time, it's time for you to move.
Wow.
And so it was, I want to say about February, March of 2021, when I started noticing a shift in my caseload. I mean, and I was sitting here juggling, with the kids, juggling with my full time, juggling with my private practice, and I
Mm.
just found myself becoming so overwhelmed. So I was finding myself just having many anxiety attacks, just getting sick. I even had COVID last year around my birthday, and I just felt like, when there's a lot of anxiety that runs your body, your immune system becomes weakened.
Yes. Yes.
So I at that moment I was like, okay, there is some things I need to be able to do. And I remember that voice that my mom said. She's My passion is making way for me to move up out of this position. And so that is what I did. I talked it over with my husband.
Mm-hmm. For
I talked it
sure.
over with my therapist, because I'm a firm believer that therapy works, not
Same.
because I'm a therapist, but because that's just my lifestyle. I talked
Right.
with my therapist, and both of them was like, Tavara, you got this. You got the, look at the evidence, but more important, look at the commitment that you made before
Mhm.
God when you told him that you was going to start walking by faith. And
Right.
when I became baptized, that is when I received another message, because and it's crazy, like when you become baptized, or when you really start to walk with God, there's these other more things that comes with it too.
Yeah.
And so at that moment, I received another message from, I call her my auntie grandma, Frederica Roper. um, she noticed that my anxiety Annie was just like, having a field day after baptism, and me was saying, okay, I'm going to put in my resignation notice. But when I started talking, I just kept talking about it, because at that moment I'm like, I need to talk about it, so that way, I won't, be upset, or experience any kind of be fearful. And she told me, she said, Tavar, stop talking, and allow God to be able to lead you in what it is that you need to do. Because the
Mhm.
more you talk about it, the more you find yourself becoming anxious. The more you find yourself becoming anxious, the more you're going to back away from what it is that you need to do, and
Mhm.
what that God told you need to do. Your
Mhm.
passion, and again, that message again came to mind. Your passion is making way. You need to adhere. And
Yes.
so at that moment, I stopped talking. I stopped talking for a whole month. And come what was that, July of 2021, that's when I put in my resignation, and I had no anxiety. I was just happy. I was just so elated, and I just felt like that was the best decision that I've made, you know in so far. And I just know that, it's only nothing but favor and blessings from here, because he has shown me, like, hey, I got you covered. When you remain quiet, you see me work. And so i'm
Goodness.
just I'm just so happy to see the amount of support and an amount of favor that has been coming before me in this.
Mhm.
Even though I've been in private practice for 2 years, 2 years actually was on the
Yay.
24th this week.
Yay.
Yay! So, but it's been since September of last year that I've actually been in it by myself, with no other, with not without the cushion. And
Yes.
honestly, even I don't even have any fear. I don't have any fear.
Yes.
So
I think that story just embodies like what faith is like, right? Because we look for, it's not faith when we think that, when we need that cushion, right? That's not what faith is about. It's being able to walk, right, in the belief, in the knowing, in the hope that, what we're wanting to, what we're striving to do, or where we're striving to get to, that God is going to provide. He's going to lead the way. I mean, that's why He's Jehovah Jireh. He provides. I mean, God is great. He gives us whatever we need, and He puts people in place. He strategically puts people in our lives that will help us get to wherever it is that we need to go. So I like the fact that you shared that with us. And I like the transparency that comes with, because I think sometimes that people are under the misconception that because we are therapists, that we have it all together, that we always know how to manage things such as anxiety when it happens to us. But we are human as well, right? We are composed of emotions as well. We have a mental component as well. And so I like the fact that you shared that you had a therapist. And in fact, our mentor, Stephanie Hughes, just happened to be your therapist. And years later, you guys are working together in a partnership where you are providing a service that could heal people. And I think it's important, especially with us, number one, being women, number two, being women of color, and number three, and probably most importantly, being women of faith, because we are of the assumption that we cannot go out and get therapy. Like, if we are believers in Christ, that there's not a need for therapists. But as I always say, that is, God has given us everything on this earth that we need, and that includes therapists. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with you being able to get the help that you need to make sure your mental health is where it needs to be. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And I think sometimes people forget that. But again, God provides, which means he gives us everything we need, right? And so God has made therapists. So I encourage anybody who may be struggling with, whether it's anxiety, depression, whatever it is, marital issues, parenting issues, because people don't realize that sometimes being a parent can be stressful. It doesn't come with the manual. I know they got all these books out here that try to tell us how to parent and whatever, but you know what? That stuff goes out the window sometimes when you're trying to deal with behaviors or problems that come up. And that brings us basically into your area of expertise. One of your areas of expertise, because let's be clear, you have many, but you have one area of expertise, and I would say a passion for you, because you are a mother, is in helping mothers. So tell us about that, because I also wanted to, because I promised the fellas that you had a word for them too. So we got to make sure that we stick to that and give the fellas the word that you have. So tell us about parenthood and your signature workshop that you have that's connected to your passion.
Oh my gosh. So when I became a mom, again, that was another moment for Annie to just run her engines. And so I wanted to make sure that I created not only a space where parents and mothers are able to speak their truth, but I wanted to make sure that I created honestly a retreat, honestly,
Wow.
because as a mom, as a parent, it is truly a specialty. If you are a mother, a father, that is, I'm gonna use the words of my good clinician friend Andrew Gordon, who's the founder of the Yellow Bridge Center. Um, he said that fatherhood, and I'm going to add motherhood, parenthood, is a specialty. And so I created a workshop that's specific for mothers. It's called They Didn't Say Motherhood Was This. And I spoke upon the essence of the importance of having self-care as a mother and being unapologetic and engaging in it. um, we we understand that self-care has an undertone where people take it and think that it's selfish, and it's not. I'm a firm believer that if I cannot take care of myself, then I am going to be no good to my children, and I'm definitely not going to be no good to my husband. And
Right.
so I found myself as a mom drowning, in the first couple of years, because I'm sitting here being pulled in these different directions. I'm listening to this person, I'm listening to that person. I'm thinking, like, in order for me to be a great mom, I have to be super mom. I gotta be perfect. I gotta do this. And I wanted to create a workshop that surrounded the importance of understanding your mental health as a parent, but also ensuring that you need to make time for yourself, and you need to be able to communicate that effectively. And so I had the motherhood workshop back in September. It was phenomenal. I plan on having it again, running that back in April.
Okay, awesome.
Because I just found it to be important. And so during that time, the mothers, and then a good brother of mine, he was like, hey, they were like, hey, what about the guys? What about the fellas? And I said, you're absolutely right. And I'm gonna say this because um there's a lot of notion where mothers, we can be praised because we do a lot. We do a
Right.
lot.
Mhm.
I mean, we push the baby, we carrying them for 9 months, we push the babies out, and we up breastfeeding, or bottle feeding, or whatever we doing.
Right.
Um, we have all these nurturing aspects of us, but guys go through the same thing. It's just externally.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Ah,
out that.
yeah.
So when you have fathers who are present,
Mm-hmm.
or you have a father who is trying to be present,
Yes. Yeah.
let's say that, because
Yes.
we do have some women out here, mothers, we're gonna keep it hot, honest, open, transparent, who's are invested in their emotions because of the trauma or hurt that was done
Mm-hmm.
in that
Say.
relationship between that mother and that
Mm-hmm.
father. And so
Mm-hmm.
now they're putting it out on that child parent relationship, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I created a space for fathers to speak their truth, but also identify how to come up with tools and identify those tools to help them become a lot more stable in their mental health, and to educate them about the importance of mental health, because we understand that males have a hard time coming to therapy or even speaking to someone about their emotions, because they've been told to, you shouldn't be talking about this, or you need to be able to keep this up, you a man, man up, all this stuff. And the thing is that being a parent, it is hard. It is
Mm-hmm.
hard work. That's why we call it a specialty, because there is nothing else like bringing another child into this world and having to cultivate, nourish them, a whole human being. And so there's a lot of energy and a lot of investment that goes with being a parent. And so with fathers, it's undermined as far as what it is that they experience. And so I want to be able to make sure that we created a platform where they are heard, but more importantly, they have the tools to come back and be able to provide to themselves, but also to their families, so that way they can be good for their families or for their wives and for their children. And
Ah,
so this Saturday, we have the spinoff of the motherhood event, which is,
oh,
they didn't say fatherhood was all of this. And
uh-huh.
so we wanted to be able to help them to understand what their this is, but also give them tools to figure out, okay, you can have this, but I need you to be able to take care of yourself in this way, so that way you can be a better father, an even more effective person overall, because you are a whoever you were have an identity before you even became a father. And so that is the premises of that workshop. It is this Saturday in the Stockbridge location, in Georgia, from 12 to 2:30. So we're going to be providing a good tips, but more so it's conversation. It's really just raw conversations about fatherhood and the challenges that comes with it and how to overcome those things. So we're going to be fellowshipping over conversation, drinks, and food. So I'm encouraging all fathers, whether you're a father, expecting father, seasoned father, or a father figure, because you don't have to have children.
Say that.
Okay, if
Yeah.
you coaching a little league, or you coaching a football, basketball team, guess what? You're a father to them, right? Because in the absence of a father, of their father, you're gaining some kind, that child is gaining some kind of encouragement, upliftment, or whatever. So I'm encouraging all men to come down and sign up for the fatherhood event for this Saturday.
Awesome. That is so awesome. And I like the fact that you indicated that you're taking the conversation approach to your workshop that you're having. So much can be accomplished if we would just simply have these types of conversations, right? Communication is so important. And I'm
It's
working
your
on
lifesaver. It's your life jacket.
yeah, it is. It is. And so that's something that I'm working on bringing out because I feel like the majority of problems can be solved if we would just simply communicate. We have those effective communication skills, right? Even most problems in marriages, exists because we simply don't know how to communicate. And we're
Yeah.
going to talk more about that. Listen, guys, I'm going to get out the way because we're almost out of time here. I want Tavara to say how you can connect with her. Oh, before I do, let me let you know that Tavara, because she has so much to say and her story is so awesome, she is going to be a guest on the WOW radio station. So you can hear her tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST. We talk about Annie. We just having good conversation about mental health and what you need to do to take care of yourself. So Tavara, quickly tell us where people can connect with you and how they can sign up for the workshop.
Yes. So you can go onto my Instagram. That is at Healing Grounds with the S underscore therapy. You can also connect, and there's a on the bio, you can click on the link and it'll take you directly to the workshop page to sign up. Or you can follow me on Facebook. That is my first and last name, Tavara Franklin, and at Healing Grounds Therapy and Wellness Center LLC. And you can also find my wonderful reels and TikToks on the Instagram and Facebook, and at TikTok. That is at Healing Grounds underscore therapy, where I'm just giving out good content and good tips. And every day I'm giving out a thought provoking tip every day to jumpstart your day. So check me out on any of those platforms and visit my website. That is www.healinggroundstherapy.com, and where we can be able to come back and cultivate hope and healing back into your life by being honest, open, and transparent.
Awesome. And you listen, guys, you've heard it right here on Wow Wish Only Well live television broadcast with your host, Siobhan Gross, and my very special guest, Tavara Franklin of Healing Grounds Therapy and Wellness Center. She is my colleague and one of the partners. She and I are both partners of the of the therapy offices of Stephanie Hughes. Thank you guys so much for your time today. Listen, the shirt in itself is a message. If you need hope, God, Jesus is a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. So be excited, be encouraged on today. And as we say on this show, we come to wow. And by wow, I mean to wish only well. Today is a good day to wow someone, and let's wow all across the world. Until next time, I will see you guys next week right here, Elevation TV Network for Wow Wish Only Well live television broadcast again with your host, Siobhan Gross. And also, guys, don't forget tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Elevation Radio Network, Wow Radio Show, again, with me as your host. And my special guest tomorrow will be none other than Tavara Franklin, licensed professional counselor. Until next time, guys, be blessed. And we will see you next week. Goodbye. And don't forget to wow.